I saw Marty Supreme a few days ago, and to be honest, I haven't been able to really stop thinking about it, which is a little bit annoying because I feel like I don't even know if I liked it or not. And usually, if I don't immediately connect with the movie, I sort of just move on. But this movie was a little different, and I wanted to talk about my thoughts and feelings on it. So, this isn't going to be a clean cut review. This is just gonna kind of be me talking about my thoughts on the movie and what I liked, what I didn't like. There will be some spoilers in this video, so if you have not yet seen Marty Supreme, then maybe this is a video you want to skip, which is totally fine. But if you have seen Marty Supreme, I hope you stick around and share your thoughts about the movie in the comments and maybe help me understand it a little bit more. I want to start off this video by saying I didn't hate the movie or anything like that. This was probably one of the most anticipated movies of last year for me, and I kind of hyped it up in my mind a lot more, and I was, I guess, maybe expecting a lot more from it, and leaving the theater I kind of felt a little let down, maybe, for lack of better terms, I guess. It's not that it wasn't good and the acting wasn't good and the cinematography wasn't good. It's just, it felt like something was missing for me, and I can't really necessarily pinpoint where that feeling comes from. I'm seeing a lot of reviews of people who didn't like the movie and who are kind of saying that they didn't like it because Marty was such a bad person. And don't get me wrong, I completely agree that he is a bad person. He's narcissistic, he is selfish, he's all these things. I completely agree with that. But that's not the reason I didn't like this movie. I don't think that he's a character that needed to be more redeemable for me to enjoy the movie or anything like that. Bad people do exist in the world, and people make bad decisions. That's just a fact. That's real life. Those are not my problems with the movie. I feel like if he was a better person, the movie would have been boring. He would have just gotten with Rachel when he found out she was having his baby, and it would just be him and her for 2 hours being parents, and who would really want to watch that, So yeah, those are not my problems with this movie and why I didn't like it. I just want to put that out there right now. A little bit of background about this movie in case you didn't know much about it. It's directed by Josh Safdie, which was originally part of a group directing duo with Benny Safdie, his brother. They made movies like Uncut Gems, starring Adam Sandler, and Good Times, starring Robert Pattinson, which are both great movies, and movies that I really enjoyed. And I feel like maybe part of the reason I hyped Marty Supreme up was because of those movies, and I was kind of expecting a similar vibe to those, which it did have bits and pieces, but the whole collective of the movie didn't feel as fast-paced, anxiety-inducing as Uncut Gems was, or as Good Times was. Marty Supreme opens up with Marty working at his uncle's shoe store, and it is apparent that there is this fear inside of him that he is going to end up like his uncle. A little later on in the first couple scenes, his uncle talks to him about one day becoming the manager of this shoe store, and that he kind of sort of has to grow up. I feel like there's this theme throughout the movie of you just have to grow up, get a real job, get married, have a kid, do the regular normal people things. And then the rest of the film just kind of follows him chasing his dream of breaking out of that normal people cycle, if you will. Him chasing this dream of being the greatest table tennis player of all time, and kind of just shows all of the choices he makes and all the relationships he's willing to sacrifice in order to make this dream a reality. And again, that's not a horrible thing in my mind, to have this desire to make your dreams a possibility and doing whatever you feel like you have to do to accomplish those dreams. And I feel like that part of the movie is something I enjoyed, seeing him have this dream that drives him to do these things. And it's a little bit inspirational, just a little bit inspirational, watching somebody have this desire to accomplish his dreams and do whatever he wants or needs to do for those dreams to become a reality. And being somebody in their like early 20s that has like a similar dream, not of like becoming a table tennis professional or anything like that, but having a dream that like kind of wakes you up every day and like gives you a purpose. I feel like that part was really inspirational and kind of woke something up in my mind to start being a little bit more delusional and chasing those dreams harder. That is something I enjoyed about this movie, is that it made me have this feeling of I'm not trying hard enough for my dreams. Maybe I need to push myself a little bit more, not to do crazy things and to ruin relationships in my life, but just to be a little bit more like of a hustle mindset, I suppose. And I feel like I see a lot of reviews of people saying the same thing, that it made them like reevaluate what they're doing in their lives and reevaluate like how hard they're really like fighting for their dreams, and maybe making them kind of like step up a little bit in that regard. And I like that about this movie. I kind of just wanted to go over a little bit of some of the scenes in the movie, kind of just like dive maybe a little deeper and talk about why some scenes worked for me, why some didn't. So let's just start from the very beginning. In one of the very first scenes, we see his relationship with this woman, Rachel, played by Odessa Azion, I believe is how you pronounce her last name, who was phenomenal in this movie. I want to add, she was great. I've only seen her in Grand Army, and she was great in that show as well. And Netflix, I'm still mad that you canceled that show after one season, but that's a different story. So we meet Rachel, right? And she comes into the shoe store. She knows Marty. I'm not gonna like break down the whole scene or anything like that. He ends up pulling her to like the back of the shoe store. They have sex, and then the credits scenes start rolling, and there's this like animation of a sperm fertilizing an egg, which is implying, you know, she's pregnant with his kid, right? And I see a lot of people, mostly on TikTok, that are saying that she like lied about it being his kid and it was actually her husband's, because she is married at this point while she's having sex with Marty. And I feel like I could go in about like Rachel's character and how she's similar with Marty, and maybe I'll get to that later, but I don't understand why people are confused about that. I mean, it was very clear. They have sex right after it's the sperm scene. So the people that are confused, I fear, lack a little bit of media literacy, but that's okay. That's okay. It was very clear to me right away that it was his kid. So let's just put that out there. Kind of after that, Marty is trying to get money to go to Japan to compete in this table tennis championship. And the way he makes the money to get there is by robbing his uncle who owned the shoe store. And I'm using robbing in like quotations. He didn't really like rob him. He was owed money that his uncle wasn't giving him. And so he took what he felt was his, what he felt was promised, which out of all the bad decisions he makes in this movie, that is not one I'm like harping on or anything like that. I definitely agree that if that was the money he was owed, he should have taken it. But this is also one of the very first scenes where you see him and kind of his like charisma and how he is able to like talk his way into getting that money. Basically, there's another guy who works at the store who kind of wants this like normal lifestyle, this like 9-to-5 stable job, stable income. I'm assuming he wants to raise a family, you know, live this like normal life. And Marty kind of tells him, my uncle just told me I'll be the manager of the store, which means I'll be your boss. Like how much would that suck for you? Like if you let me have this money, then the job is yours. You could be the manager of the store. And I feel like already that's like right in the beginning of the movie, already showing how charismatic he is. And that charisma follows throughout the movie, in my opinion. So now at this point, Marty has the money. He made it to Japan with the money that he robbed from his uncle. And he is getting into the, you know, championship. there's like, montages of him playing table tennis, but that's like besides. I'm not getting into the table tennis of it that much, I guess. He gets to this hotel that like everybody who's competing is staying at, and it's not a nice hotel by any means, and he's sharing this like space with a whole bunch of other guys that are also there competing, and he feels like he's too good to be here already, right? Which is already arrogant, because who is this guy at this point, And he goes and tells that to, I'm going to put a picture up of the guy. I'm assuming he's like the head guy of the table tennis league, like a general manager of the table tennis league. I don't know shit about table tennis. So he's like, but he's very important in the table tennis league, okay? That's all you need to know. But Marty tells this guy that he is too good to be in this hotel. And of course, the table tennis league guy is like, bro, you're a nobody. Like, why would I pay this money to put you up in a nice hotel? You haven't even won a championship. Like, you're literally nobody to me. Marty somehow successfully manages to scam his way into this suite at this very nice hotel. And when he is there, he meets Kay Stone, played by Gwyneth Paltrow, who is this retired, rich movie star. And she becomes very important in this story as well. He doesn't really meet her. I guess he kind of sees her in the lobby and then figures out what room she's staying in, calls her room, and is like, I ordered all this stuff from room service. You should come to my room and help me eat it. Maybe do some other stuff, if you know what I'm saying. And basically, again, she's like, who are you? Like, I literally don't even know who you are. He says, do you have the daily papers in front of you? I'm there. I'm the best thing since sliced bread when it comes to table tennis. And basically, the best thing since sliced bread loses the championship the next day to Endo, who is the Japan superstar of tennis. And he loses to Endo, and the way he kind of justifies him losing or blames him losing is because Endo used this like special paddle to beat him. So that's what he chooses to blame his loss on, not on his own accord, not on his own like game. It was because he had a better paddle. Which I don't know. I don't know anything about that, okay? I'm just relaying the information. Marty sort of put his whole, career on winning this championship in Japan. He thought after he won, he would kind of become this household name. He would get all this money to travel, to play in more championship games, and he wanted to make a career out of this. And after losing, he's kind of back to square one. He's still doing like playing table tennis, but it's with the Harlem Globetrotters as like a halftime performance show, which he makes very clear is beneath him. He then goes back home after the Harlem Globetrotters. He's back in New York, back to his mom's house. And when he's at his mom's house, his uncle comes in with a police officer, and he's basically saying he's going to press charges on him for robbing him unless he becomes the manager of his store. Right. Because if somebody robbed me, I would want them to work for me again, of course. But Marty ends up getting away. He goes down like the fire escape, and he goes in to where Rachel works. Rachel, if you remember, the girl that he got pregnant and then dipped to go to Japan to play in a fucking ping pong tournament. And this is the first time that he's seeing her pregnant. She's like 8 months pregnant probably at this point. very pregnant. She is like, dude, this is your kid. And he said, no, it's not. I pull out. It couldn't be mine. It's got to be your husband's. And just basically, like, I understand where he's coming from of, like, how do I know for sure it's mine? I get that. But, like, at the same time, the way he went around this conversation just, like, made me so angry at him. And I hated him, which I guess goes to show how good of an actor Timothée Chalamet is for making me hate him. And one, like, little anecdote I want to say. Big fan of Timothée Chalamet. I'm going to harp on this movie a little bit late, like, probably this next, like, little excerpt I do. I'm going to harp on it a little bit here. I don't want to say that Timothée Chalamet is a bad actor. I have been here since Call Me By Your Name, and I've watched probably pretty close to every movie of Timothée Chalamet's, and I think he's great. However, I do want to say I don't think, my personal opinion, and again, who am I? I'm a nobody, but in my personal opinion, this is not his best role, and not Oscar award winning as, like, he was trying to say it is with, like, the marketing of this movie. That's my little, like, 2 cents of the situation that nobody asked for, but I wanted to give it anyway. So he ends up getting out of this shop not with Rachel. He leaves Rachel again. Common theme in this movie of him leaving Rachel, okay? And he basically is like, I have to get out of here. I have to leave town, right? So he stops, and I've only watched this movie one time, so if I'm forgetting major things, I don't even want to talk about it. These are, like, just the scenes that I remember. I'm just giving, like, a recap of the movie, I guess, for those who haven't watched it. So he basically is like, I have to get out of town. The police are coming for me. Let me make a stop at the place I play tennis, table tennis at. I keep calling it tennis. It's not tennis, table tennis. Before, like, I have to leave, whatever. And he runs into Wally, played by Tyler, the Creator, who is also pretty decent in this movie. I think it's his first acting gig, but I really enjoy Tyler, the Creator in this, I'm not gonna lie. He runs into Wally, kind of is like, yo, get me out of New York. I have to leave until, like, the police, like, leave me alone, whatever. So Wally ends up taking him away. They get at this motel, and when they check into the motel, the guy is like, do not use the shower, like, it's broken, it's whatever, like, you can't use it. Okay, cool. What does he end up doing? Uses the shower. Of course. So he ends up using the shower, takes a little bath. The tub falls into the hotel room below him, where a guy is washing his dog. I'll put a picture of him up too. This is the guy with the dog. Don't remember his name. Sorry. He ends up, like, crushing his arm because he was washing his dog in the bathtub. So his arm is crushed. His dog is not hurt that bad. Okay, that bad. And basically, people come rushing in to help the situation. Marty starts, like, yelling at the guy and is like, I want my money back for the hotel room. Like, I could have died. I could have, like, snapped my neck and died when I fell through the floor, basically. The guy's like, I'm not giving you your money back, blah, 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 blah. Dog guy is like, I'll give you money if you take my dog to the vet. He's very close with his dog for whatever reason. I don't know. He's very, like, my dog, okay? Marty is like, okay, whatever, I'll take your dog to the vet, whatever. And he's like, okay, go in my bag, I have money there, you can take, I don't even know how much it was, like $50 or something like that. Maybe not $50, I don't know. But he's like, you can take X amount of money to take my dog to the vet. He opens his bag, shit ton of money, hundreds of millions of thousands of dollars. I don't know. And he, I guess, sort of maybe thinks that he can scam this guy to getting more money out of him. This is, like, my biggest issue with the movie is the dog thing, which I'll get into after I finish this little recap of the whole movie, okay? So he takes the money to get the dog to the vet, takes the dog to the vet with Wally, right? They're driving. Maybe the vet, Wally's like, yeah, we should take him to the vet. Like, we're getting paid to do that. Let's just do that. Marty is like, no. Let's go hustle money at this bowling alley that also has table tennis games. Like, we can go and hustle. The dog will be fine in the car. Let's just leave it. So they end up doing that. They go and hustle, which the hustling scenes in this movie are my favorite parts of the movie. I think that's such a cool scene. Just that whole like 5 to 10 minutes, whatever it is, of them playing table tennis and hustling it. Very cool. They end up hustling it, the money, and then after that, they take their money and then they drive. They start driving again. They realize they're low on gas. Stop at a gas station, start filling it up. Who starts pulling up? The boys from the bowling alley that realize that they got hustled and they want their money back. They start trying to break into the car, try to like beat up Marty, beat up Wally. The dog, again, still in the back seat, right? So Marty, who is filling up the tank, starts like spraying gasoline on them and is able to like back them up enough to get in the car to drive away. And I think at this point, somewhere in the midst of all this fighting, of all this like trying to break into the car, the dog gets out and is like running away, okay? As they're like driving away, Wally's like, oh my god, the dog, like we need to go back and get the dog. Marty's like, fuck the dog, dude, like we don't need the dog. They start driving away and Marty's like looking back at the gas station. Boom! It all blows up in a flame of smoke, okay? And at this point, I'm assuming they think the dog is dead because I think the dog is dead. But the dog's actually not dead. We find that out, but he doesn't know that, I think. After all of this happens, Wally drops him out, back off, I think, again, at his house or something. And he lost most of the money that he just made hustling and from, like, taking the dog to the vet. And now he's like, fuck, I need more money to get to Japan, right? But he ends up running into Rachel again, and this time she has a black eye. And basically she tells him that her husband found out about her sleeping with Marty and that it's not his kid and, like, punched her. So she needs to get out of this situation. And Marty believes her because this is his friend. This is, like, somebody that he trusts, right? Of course. The two of them go to Marty's friend's house and basically, like, beg him to stay the night here. And he lets him against his, like, better judgment because Marty has also screwed him and his dad over. I am also going to talk a little bit about Marty's relationship with Kay. I'm going to touch on that a little bit. When he was in Japan, he met Kay, of course, at the, he calls her the room service thing, right? The two of them, like, meet and they, like, start hooking up, whatever. She has this husband, played by Kevin O'Leary randomly, and he's this, like, successful businessman. He makes pens, which Marty also finds hilarious because it's not like a real profession, of course. It's not like as noble of a profession as table tennis is, right? And while he's like talking with him, meeting with him when he was in Japan for the first time, Milton Rockwell, that's his name. Milton tells him, this is after he loses to Endo in the championship, okay? Milton basically is like, if you come back to Japan, we're going to stage this show of you and Endo playing again because it could be really big for my business. I could sell, like, my pens in Japan. It could be like a whole thing. And people really enjoyed the match between you and Endo. So you come back to Japan, play him again. Marty is like, oh, this is, like, a great idea. Like, I could redeem myself. I could show everybody that I actually am better than this guy. Like, this would be great. Milton is like, whoa. Like, this isn't, like, a real game. Endo's gonna win. We can't have an American beating a Japanese player in Japan, like that's gonna tank my business before it already starts in Japan. Marty, again, egotistical character, is like, okay, well, fuck you. Like, I'm not gonna play this guy in like some sham of a contest when I'm actually better than him. You can go fuck yourself. And basically the whole deal is off. Okay, now we're going back to where he is with Rachel in his friend's house. Okay, after losing the money with the dog thing, after losing the money with the hustling thing, he's like, I just have to get to Japan so I can play in this year's championships. Like, I don't care what I have to do. Like, I need to get there, okay? So he goes back to Milton and basically, like, begs him for forgiveness and tells him he'll do the thing in Japan. And Milton is basically like, I'm not giving you a second chance, dude. I already gave you one opportunity. Like, why would I give you another one? At this point, the deal is off. They're not doing it anymore. He's not, like, entertaining the idea anymore. Milton isn't. So now Timothy is like, dude, I don't know what, like, to do. Like, I need this. Whatever. He remembers he does have this relationship with Kay, who is also rich, right? So he kind of gets back in Kay's good graces. He's like, he goes to this play rehearsal. Like, she's coming out of retirement to do this play. He finds that out, goes to this play rehearsal, again, to try to get back in her good graces. Maybe she'll give him a little bit of money or something. Who knows? The two of them start hooking up in the shower. She has this, like, necklace on that he's assuming is a lot of money, right? He, like, sneakily takes it off of her and is able, he thinks, to pawn it off to get money for Japan. He tries to go to a pawn shop to get money for it. The guy tells him, this is costume jewelry, this isn't real. Like, I'm not giving you any money from it. And so now he's like, okay, I don't know what to do at this point. Goes back home to his friend's house. Who is there? Rachel. So he goes back. Rachel is there. And I kind of forget, like, necessarily what happened. And I might be completely fucking up, like, the ending of this, like, how the story goes. But it's fine. It's okay. This is not, like, a clean-cut recap, okay? But Rachel's, like, crying. And I don't really remember why. But he goes to, like, wipe where her black eye is. And it, like, smudges. Very victorious Jade scamming everybody to think Tori beat her up. If you know, you know. But her makeup smudges, and he's like, and Marty realizes that she's been lying to him this whole time, that her husband beat her up, and yeah, she's basically a liar. And then they get in this kind of fight of him being like, I'm actually, like, pursuing something here. What are you doing with your life? Like, once again, just not as good as me, and I'm not, like, settling down and helping you raise this kid. You want to do this, go back, be with your husband, and I'm out. She does that. She leaves him and goes back to her husband, okay? And now we're kind of back at square one, where he's like, I have no money to get to Japan. I have no, like, way to do this. Like, I have no idea what to do. Kay is having her play, okay? So he shows up before the play starts, goes to her dressing room, and comes up with this lie of, I stole this necklace from you, and I tried to, like, and I was going to pawn it off, but I felt so bad, and blah, 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 and I just couldn't do that to you. And she like, doesn't really believe it, I don't think. She's like, it's costume jewelry. Like, I feel like you already know that, though. Like, you already tried to pawn it off, and now you're, like, back asking me for forgiveness, kind of. And she's like, but whatever, that's, I don't really care. Have a ticket to come to the play. Okay. He goes to the play. It's good. It's great. It's whatever. After the play, the two of them are walking in this park. He's like, you were so good tonight, blah, 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 blah. Kind of just, like, schmoozing her up. Again, hoping to get some money. She ends up being like, you know what? I have 100 of these, like, really expensive necklaces. Let me give you one so you can pawn it off to get money to do your stupid little table tennis thing. So she ends up putting a necklace one of her necklaces around his neck, and then they start having sex at the park. 2 police officers like find them, of course, because why fucking wouldn't they? And they basically they know who she is and kind of let her off, but they're like gonna arrest him, and they notice the necklace and are like, oh, this looks really fancy for a guy like you, and are kind of trying like putting 2 and 2 together of like realizing who this lady is, realizing that she's married and like having an affair. And basically she's like, you know what, you take the necklace that I just gave Marty, and like, let's just forget about this, like nobody has to know. So now they take Marty's ticket to Japan, right, from his neck, and now he's like, you said you have a bunch of necklaces, like why don't we just go get some? And she's like, no, like there's a party, like I can't have you like showing up, like my husband's there, all these people are there, they're gonna know something's up if I like walk in and come back down in the span of like a minute. And he's like, no, like please, like you don't understand, like I need this, like blah 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 blah. And she's like, okay, fine, whatever, come to this place, well, I'll get you a necklace, it'll be whatever. Okay, so she goes upstairs, is gonna grab a necklace. She runs into her husband. They talk for a little bit. He's like, somebody reviewed your play, and they're like reading the announcements live. Okay, after that, that's where it cuts. We go back to Marty, and Marty is like waiting forever. He thought it would be a lot faster that he would get this necklace, and eventually he's like, I'm just gonna go up and try to find her to get this necklace, right, and then get out of here. He walks up to where she, like up to where she is in her room. She's crying. Probably got a bad review, right? So he walks back down, sees her husband talking with all these guys, and basically like begs him again to let him come to Japan to do this like sham of a show for them, right? And then like weirdly he's like, okay, I'll let you come to Japan with me if like you let me spank you with a paddle. That's weird. So because Marty needs this money, he lets him spank him with a paddle in front of all these guys. So they make it to Japan. Marty runs into this guy again, the head of the championship league. I still don't know like what his title is. Okay, they run into him, and he's basically like I made it to Japan, like we're just doing this show, but like trust me, like I'll be ready for the championships, blah 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 blah. This guy's like, champion, what are you talking about? Like you're not playing in the championships in like this tournament again. Like you made a mockery out of this whole thing last year. Why would I let you do that again? Like the brackets are already set, everything's already ready, the games are already like set to play. We can't just like fit you in. So Marty realizes that the whole reason he's here isn't going to end up working out, and that there's no real sense of doing this show for Milton anymore. There's no reason for him to be in Japan anymore if he can't play in the championships and redeem himself. So now it's time for the show, and okay, so they play the thing. Endo ends up winning, and then he kind of has like I don't even know if it's like a realization, but he's like, you know what? I'm not going to play in the championships. I'm not going to like redeem myself. I'm done making like a fool of myself. And pretty much on stage in front of everybody is like, they like think you guys are stupid. Like this is a whole like setup. Like they paid me to lose to him, the score being like 21-14, which is what it was. And he's like, don't let them deceive you. Like let me play again. Like let me play a real game. And like he begs Endo to let him play a real match against him, and they end up doing it. They end up like playing a real game, and Marty ends up winning. And that's that. He doesn't get the money from Milton because again, Marty screwed over Milton once again. So he doesn't get the money. He ends up, I don't even know, hitching a ride with like these military guys back to New York. Once he gets back, the movie ends with him going to a hospital where Rachel is. She's just given birth to his kid, and he sees his kid for the first time, and he starts like crying. And I feel like I've seen some interpretations of how the ending goes for like how people felt about the ending. Like some people thought he was crying because he's like so excited to be a dad and all this stuff. For me, I felt like he was crying because like his dream is done now. Like he tried and failed, and now he has to like have this normal life that he didn't want. Like in the beginning of the movie, he didn't want it. So that's kind of the movie. That was a long recap, I feel like, and I feel like I left some things out. Most importantly, the dog storyline, which I left it out for a reason. Okay. I left it out because it doesn't make it, and that's not that it doesn't make sense. It's just that it's such a pointless like plot line. I feel like the way I recapped is how it should have went, and we could have cut out all of the other like bullshit scenes of them and saved 15 minutes of this movie of them fucking around with this dog, because there are other scenes of like Marty realizing the guy put out this like, if you find his dog he'll give you money, like whatever. And then there's like this whole like subplot of Marty and Rachel trying to find the guy's dog, and then they find it at this house, but like the guy is like crazy and wants to keep the dog, and then he like shoots at them, so they drive away, and then a little while later they like scam. I don't know, like it's just like so much of like back and forth with the dog that it could have been cut and the movie would have still made sense. That is my biggest like harp on this movie, is the whole shit with the dog. It's so stupid to me. And again, in my opinion, I'm sorry if you like the dog stuff. It was just not it for me. So that was a recap of the movie. I want to talk about things I didn't like about it now. The whole thing with the dog, which I just like went on a little mini rant about, was the main thing. Another problem that I had with it is I feel like it didn't build enough for me. In underdog movies, which I feel like this movie was marketed as, like normally in the end of those movies, I want the guy to win at whatever they're doing. In like Miracle, which is a great movie, hockey movie, like they're the underdogs. In the end, everybody in the Olympics, I want them to win the Olympics. That's the whole point of underdog movies, is you're rooting for the guy to win. Me personally, in Marty Supreme, I wanted Endo to win. I didn't want Marty to win, and I guess maybe it's because he didn't have any redeeming qualities. They just didn't make me want to root for him. I feel like in the 2 hours leading up to that last like 30-minute, like the 15 minutes where he's playing Endo in the rematch of their like championship game, like that whole 2 hours should have been building me wanting Marty to win, like building him, I guess redeeming himself a little bit for me, enough for me to want to root for him, and it just didn't do that for me. Another thing I didn't like in previous Safdie movies, such as Uncut Gems, such as Good Time, I feel like there's a level of anxiety, like a good sense of anxiety, like I need to know what happens next, I'm on the edge of my seat anxiety, that I feel like this movie didn't have necessarily. I feel like there were moments where it definitely was like, oh my god, like how is he gonna get out of this and stuff, but as soon as they were building it up enough for it to like climax to become something else, it just like drops off. That scene when he's in the bathroom, in the bathtub, like falls through and like pins the guy's arm, and everybody comes rushing in and he's yelling at people and people are yelling at him. That's like oh my gosh, like how is he gonna get out of this? Like how is he gonna get the money? Blah 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 blah. And then like it's building, and then he just takes the money and the dog, and they are driving to start hustling, and it goes down. The momentum goes down for me. Again, for me. Okay. Another example of this is when, after the hustling scene, when they're getting gas and the guys are coming to get their money back, and he's like spraying gasoline on them, and the whole thing erupts into a fire, and the dog is gone now. It's like building, and then it's just Wally's dropping Marty off at his house. Plateaus. So that's my problem with like the building and the anxiety of it, I suppose. And kind of my last thing I want to say is I love watching movies in theaters. And if I watched a movie in theaters and I thought it was great, I'm watching it as long as it's in theaters. I'm going to see it 5, 6, 7 times. I watched Challengers like 7 times when it was in theaters because I thought it was so good and I liked it so much. It was worth it to me to spend that ticket price constantly to see it again and again and again, okay? This movie, as soon as I got out of it, I was like, oh, it was cool. I'm not gonna waste my money to watch it again, though. So that, I feel like that in and of itself is pretty indicative of how I felt about it. I feel like this was a long-winded video. It was a lot of me yapping about the movie, a lot of me trying to recap it. If I missed some things, I'm sorry. I watched it one time, and this is going off my memory of watching it like 3 days ago. So some things definitely could have been missed. Some things definitely could have been like gone through too quick. Some relationships could have been cut out for just the sake of this video and the sake of not wanting to make a 5-hour review of it. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not like a movie reviewer or movie recapper. This is the first like long like form recap that I've ever done. So if I messed up some things, then I apologize. And if this is a movie that you loved, then totally, like, I totally respect that. And I would love, like, if there were things that I didn't like that you personally liked, leave them in the comments below. I would love to know your guys' perspective of what you liked in the movie. But I do also want to say, please don't come for me, okay? If you really like this movie, then you can just say that. These are just my opinions. I don't want anybody to be like, I don't know, mean to me about it, of not liking this movie is basically what I'm saying. But yeah, I guess those are my thoughts of this movie. And I am curious to know what your guys' thoughts are. If you happen to see this movie, or if this is just like the first recap that you're watching, I want to know your thoughts. So leave them in comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And yeah, have a fantastic rest of your day. Goodbye.